Does your health insurance company want you to have a garden? Hi everybody, I'm Aubrey and this is Crybaby Summer Homestead, and apparently my health insurance company does want their customers to have a garden. And I'm going to tell you what they said and why I think they're saying it. I'm enjoying the shade over here, you guys. It is so hot. Probably one of the hotter days of our summer here in Washington State. And I went to the mailbox, and I usually have a lot of junk mail, and this time I only had one piece of mail. And as I was about to just recycle it, or it's glossy, so I guess it'd have to go in the trash, I went, wait, it says garden on there. Why does it say garden? Why is Regence sending me something that says for your health? And then the article is called Ready, Set, Garden. It does say spring 2025. I don't think they realized, maybe they didn't, maybe that's a typo because it's like, it's summer. Hello. I just got out of the mailbox, but it says spring 2025. And it says for your health, Ready, Set, Garden. And I'm quoting them because I think it's really interesting that a health insurance company is encouraging people to garden. And I bet you can guess why they're doing that. You can pop a comment below. Why do you think a health insurance company would want you to have a garden? Not a pharmaceutical company, but an insurance company. Okay, so it says Ready, Set, Garden. Planting a garden can do much more than boost your curb appeal. Well, that's true, right? Because it can boost your curb appeal. If you're trying to sell your house, it can improve the value of your property and make your house sell faster. The squirrels are throwing stuff at me again. They do it. They literally, you can hear it. They throw cherries at me. Okay, well, maybe my health insurance company wants me to garden, but the very chubby squirrels that live in my yard don't want me to because I am interrupting their feast. Okay, but it says it can boost your curb appeal. Yes, it can help you sell your house. If that's something you want to do, I would be very reluctant to let go of property. Very reluctant. Don't let go of your property. Not without knowing for sure that you can get some more, because we're in a time. It says it's good for your body, mind, and overall health. Okay, it's good for your health. Here are some benefits you'll find while working in your garden. So Regence is saying it will boost your mood. Boosted mood. Taking care of a garden may help relieve stress. True. And reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. Well, I can tell you why. I think it also helps with grief. In the grieving process, and that's actually one of the reasons why I really turned to gardening, was because I knew it helped to make me calm. It like softened the blow. I don't know, it didn't really make the grief go away, but it helped me to recover and to still be healthy in other ways, even though I was sad. Fresher plates. It says starting a veggie garden or herb patch means you and your family can enjoy fresh, healthy foods. Well, and actually, for picky eaters, I agree with this because, like, I'm not a great, like, I don't get drawn to vegetables and fruits specifically just because I grew up in poverty and I didn't see a lot of healthy produce. I basically would see carrots, green beans, sometimes strawberries, and bananas. But I didn't see a lot of fresh vegetables. We'd have potatoes, basically all the cheap stuff, right? And so it's a familiarity thing. And if you're growing it in your garden, you're becoming very familiar with it. You're learning about how it grows. You're seeing it sprout. You don't want anything to go to waste. The squirrels, I'm not kidding you. Every time I come out here, they either literally jump from branch to branch and knock stuff down on me, or they literally like push with their little claws and make cherries fall on me. And they're in cahoots. There's two of them. They'll look over at each other. One will do it. If I move directions, then the other one will do it. So it's like a freaking cartoon over here. It is like a cartoon. I'm not kidding. All right, so extra exercise. Definitely true. There are some days I garden so long that the next day I'm just as sore as if I had gone to a gym. I remember what that felt like. I used to run track in high school, and I'd get like shin splints, and I'd have all those body aches. It almost feels like you have the flu or something. Yes, gardening is big, especially the more you do it. You're digging and raking, and you're pulling weeds and things like that, you're going to get a lot of exercise. It doesn't say that this on here, but it also helps get a lot of fresh air and sunshine. And in Washington State, almost everybody has vitamin D deficiency, because vitamin D is one of those things that you get literally from a process your body goes through when it's exposed to sunlight. So, and by the way, I read this really fascinating article that I can't find it again. If you find it, let me know. But it was about eating mushrooms, and that if you set your mushrooms out, and this is gardening because it's not mushrooms, it's not a plant. But if you could take your mushrooms and you set it out in the sunshine for like 15 minutes before you cook it and eat it, it actually absorbs the vitamin D, and that's one way you can get vitamin D as a nutrient in your food, which vitamin D is not something that you eat, but it's really interesting because you can get it from mushrooms if they've been exposed to sunlight for about 15 minutes right before you cook it and eat it. So that's interesting. Look it up. Better sleep. All that extra movement in your garden during the day can help you sleep better at night. And I'll tell you this, if you do it like a little bit early in the day and you're not all like exhausted and sweaty, I think at night on a hot summer's, maybe I'm wrong, but on a hot summer's night, I find it hard to fall asleep if I'm really hot. So like I'll do my gardening in the morning, in the evening when it's cooling off, and then I'll take a nice cold shower, and that really helps me sleep because you're so tired. And normally a cold shower would wake me up, or probably wake you up too. But once you take that cold shower, you're so exhausted from gardening all day, you'll sleep like a champ. And then it says healthier aging. Research shows that caring for a garden may help protect against dementia. So that's true. Things like, playing Sudoku and word searches and crosswords and that kind of stuff could help with it. I can't, when it comes to the crossword puzzles, like I have an English degree and it's embarrassing how bad I am at crosswords. Don't even go there. But I would play Sudoku or do other like little mind, like, puzzles, that kind of stuff. Gardening definitely, I feel like, really helps me. It helps me stay motivated in my life too. Helps me to organize my thoughts, to process things. Even when you're not realizing that you're processing information, you think you're just watering your plants. Your brain unconsciously is dealing with all of that stimulation that you've been going throughout the whole day. So I thought it was really interesting, and it gives you, like, also even talks about, like, it helps you heal better. Like, you will heal better from injuries if you are a gardener. And it's one of the, like, if you Google it, you'll see that gardening is one of the healthiest, if not the healthiest, hobby you can possibly have. And it will change your life. It changes your life. Not only, it doesn't go into this as far as I can see. I didn't read the whole thing. But gardening can also open up community for you, especially people who are in retirement age, who maybe don't, you're not going to work every day to make friends, you're not going to school, you're not going to classes. Like, where did you meet your friends? Where did you meet your significant other? Did you meet them at a bar? Well, if you're retirement age, you're probably not going there anymore. Probably watching your health, right? If you met them at college, that's probably already done. You met them in high school, middle school, like you met your friends at school. Well, you're not in school anymore, right? But if you have a garden, and this is probably true for all ages, people will stop and ask you about your plants. Like every day, someone stops me and asks me about plants, whether it's online, excuse me, whether that's online or on the edge of my property. People will message me all the time, like if they have problems with their, aside from YouTube, people are constantly asking me questions about their plants. And it's a way to stay connected, because I'm a very shy person, and it takes me a while to, to get motivated and brave enough to go up to somebody and say, hi, my name's Aubrey, nice to meet you. It gives you something to talk about other than your grandchildren. And it's healthy. It can be edible. You're outside in the sunshine. You're making friends. You're talking to people. And there's something about when the plant sprouts that's really, inspiring, and it makes you want to live. Like, there's all these studies that say that having a pet will increase your longevity. Well, I can tell you I have lung issues from having birds. Having birds, even if you keep the things clean, can cause all kinds of issues with your respiratory system. It's really not healthy to have indoor birds. Having cats and dogs, not a bad thing, but I'm allergic to cats. Technically allergic to dogs too, but I don't really have symptoms. But when they prick my arm and stuff, I did have a reaction, and I'm getting allergy shots to be able to deal with my kids' cats that they have in their rooms. But what my point is that even if you have allergies to animals, and you might have allergies to pollen, there are a lot of plants that you propagate through asexual cuttings that don't flower. So even if you have allergies to pollen, you can plant things that don't flower. You can have house plants that are mostly for the stems and leaves. You can grow things and eat them before they flower. There are a lot of like leafy greens, kales and stuff. All these things are going to flower eventually, but if you harvest them first, they won't. Chances are you're not allergic to every kind of pollen, but I'm not your allergist, so talk to them. But it's like there's just so many things, so many ways for you to get health benefits. And why would Regence have an article about gardening? How do they make their money? They make their money because everybody has to have insurance, right? They lose their money when you actually use their insurance. So the sicker you are, the less money they make. The healthier you are, the more money they get to hold on to. So you are saving them money by being healthy. So do I trust the source? Their best interest is for you to be healthy, because then that means that they get to keep all that money that you say that you gave them as an insurance policy. Now, when it comes to pharmaceutical companies, they're not the ones sending out, you should have a garden. Okay? Pharmaceutical companies, they want us to be sick. The sicker we are, the more chronic our illnesses are, the longer they get to charge us. But insurance companies have to pay out if you get sick, if it's a life insurance policy, if you die. So they want you to live, they want you to outlive and out-health your policy. The healthier you are, the less often you have to go, the less procedures and tests and, all the things. Oh my God, they're really throwing cherries at me. It's not a joke. Like, they full on are. And if I look up, they're going to pelt me. What'd I ever do to you? Except for plant a food forest. You have cherries and hazelnuts. Eat your stuff. Leave me alone. But also, on the back of this, let me fold it down so you can see my address. There's an article about bird watching. And it says, to reduce your stress, bird watch. I had no idea. I thought people who are out there with their, their little binoculars out there looking at birds, and they have a little bird guidebook and taking down notes what they saw. I thought they were okay. I never said this aloud because it wasn't nice, but I thought they were a little bit weird. And now I'm one of those people. I have joined the club. But what it says is, this is ironic. When you get older, you take your glasses off so you can see. And then you put your glasses back on so you can see. It says, your cat may be onto something. Sitting and watching birds may improve your brain health and well-being. Bird benefits. Research shows that being around birds is good for mental health. This is even true if you're stuck indoors. A 2022 study found that seeing or hearing birds throughout the day improved mental well-being. And a study published in 2021 showed a link between happiness and the number of bird species in people's towns. Actually, one of my gardening classes that I had them do researching on the benefits of having a garden and having trees in a community. And they found out, in the research that we did, there's tons of resources. Google it yourself. I'm not going to look them all up again now. It's been a couple years. But they researched like gang activity and suicide rates and crime rates and violent crime rates and property damage in relationship to having lots of trees in the neighborhood. And they found a really wonderful connection. The more trees in the neighborhood, the less crime, the more mental wellness there was in that community. So they're finding this with birds. The more bird species there are, the greater the link of happiness in those towns. Interesting. Seems like we weren't supposed to be in these cement jungles. We were supposed to be in a jungle. Experts aren't sure why birds have such a positive effect on us, it says. However, it might have to do with the connection to nature. How to start bird watching. It's easy to take up birding. Just look out your window or take a stroll around your neighborhood and keep your eyes and ears peeled. I love the sound of birds. You can also visit National Park Service, NPS, website at nps.gov. Search birding, birding, to learn about birds in different parks. They're shaking it there. If you want to see more, the NPS suggests using binoculars to look at birds at a distance. Smaller binoculars are lighter and easier to carry during a walk, and some of them really work very well, even though they're not the heavy-duty ones. However, larger binoculars allow you to see birds farther away. Try different sizes to see what you prefer. A bird guide is essential for learning about and identifying the birds you see. A bird book that organizes species by color may be easiest when getting started. Mobile apps also allow you to identify and write down the birds you find. That's like I said, the people who I said were a little bit weird writing stuff down. I'm like, actually, that's pretty clever. I like it. Because a lot of times I'll think, oh, I saw that one bird, that was a house finch, or it was a junco, or it was, this or that. It was American robin. And having a log of it is helpful because you might go years without seeing that same bird again, that same type of bird, or you might see a lot of them. And those notes actually help us to keep track of, it's like you're a backyard naturalist. You're an ecologist for your neighborhood. It also says that the Audubon Society offers a bird guide app that works with both Apple and Android phones. The Audubon Society website actually has a feature on there where you can listen to the bird songs, and you click on it and it will make the sounds. And I'll tell you an embarrassing story. It's embarrassing. I heard the most interesting bird song one morning a couple years ago, and it was like this sweet whoop 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 sweet whoop 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 sweet whoop 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 whoop. And I was like, oh my god, what is that bird sound? It's so interesting. I've never heard anything like that before in my life. And I'm searching the Audubon Society website. I'm listening to all the bird calls. And then one day I'm outside, and this is going to be going on for a while. I'm listening to the birds, and I'm going, oh, that's such an interesting bird call. Sweep, whoop, 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 whoop. I go in the backyard, and I'm hand watering, and I hear the sound. I look over. It's my neighbor's sprinkler system. Yeah. Okay. But honestly, when I moved into the house as renters many years ago, it was like 20 years ago. I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, my middle child, but my daughter. And we moved into the house. The only birds I saw here for while we were renters, were crows. Those were the only birds I ever saw here. And then once we bought the house, because it went for sale, and we bought it, and I started planting all kinds of trees and flowers and lots of underbrush and places the birds had somewhere to hide. And I put a lot of little fences up, and then I put flowers on one side and another kind of vine on the other side. They had these edge areas to hide in and nest in, and water featured little bits of water, and I worked water in and nesting sites and all this stuff in. There are so many birds now, and I find it very cathartic to come out and garden. During 2020, when we were under the lockdown, I'd come out and water. I was fine during 2020. Everybody else was losing their minds. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go outside and take care of my garden. And I was okay. And then people would come over and they'd stand at my fence line and say, talk to me. And it was really weird. But, I honestly think I was better during 2020, and I was staying home because I wasn't home in a cement jungle. I made my own jungle, and I was out enjoying the wildlife, and I did not feel lonely. And so loneliness And a sedentary lifestyle, stress, loneliness, and depression, that kind of stuff, that is so debilitating. Gardening, like they said in the article, it helps your mental wellness, your mood, your outlook on life. Everything has hope. When you plant a seed, if you buy everything from starts, I'm not going to shame you, but if you plant a seed, when you see that seed sprout, it triggers something inside you that life is good and there's hope. And it doesn't matter what's going on in the world, because you can plant a seed, and that tree that you plant can live for 400 or 500 years. So I remember one day I planted like 17 fruit and nut trees in one day, and I dug the holes myself. And it was like one of the hardest days I ever worked in my life. I woke up like when the sun was rising, and I worked until the sun set, and probably wasn't healthy, but I just was planting it, and I had this feeling. I felt like I had a come to Jesus, come to God moment. I felt like God was speaking to me. A little embarrassing. Had a delivery, probably Amazon. Well, I had a come to Jesus moment. God bless you. Have a good day. But the moment I had was, I felt like it was almost like meditation and prayer, and I felt like God put on my heart, this is your legacy. And I mean, it resonated with my soul, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna do this more. It makes me feel good. It makes me happy. I'm sharing. I'm showing my love through this. So, and there's a ladybug over here. It's distracting me. I show my love through gardening a lot, and I'll give people plants and cuttings and that kind of stuff. And I love you if I give you a plant start, or I give you seeds. So, that's my love language, is gardening. And it's something that's going to pass on through generations. I know that my grandma, when she was gardening, when she was still alive, it was beautiful. I even wrote poetry about it when I was in middle school and high school, that it really meant a lot to me to see my grandma getting up and gardening. And she lived to be 92. And she played the piano, she would cook and bake, and she loved to feed her family. And I mean, I think really the reason why she lived to be 92 was, besides good genetics, was that she was a gardener, and she she stayed active. She was up and walking around and cleaning until she was in her 90s, up and down. Like her laundromat, her laundry washer and dryer were downstairs, so she would go up and down the stairs every day to do her laundry. And even though she was like almost blind at the end, she was still cleaning, and she was still cooking, and she was still doing a lot of things. So I wish that for you. I wish for you to have a very long and healthy life, that we don't have to use our health insurance and life insurance. Hopefully we all live to a ripe old age where we don't need it anymore. Our kids don't need it anymore. That we don't need to leave that behind, because we will have invested our love and our time in their lives, and they will be self-sufficient. I wish that for us all, that we're not having to cash in and use so much of our health insurance. Now, definitely use it when you need it, but hopefully you're healthy and you won't need to use it so much. All right, everybody, you know what I say: be good, be sweet, grow a garden if you want to eat. God bless you, and I hope that you have a long, healthy, fruitful life. Amen. By the time you see this, it won't be the same day, but I ran over to bring my husband a omelet for his birthday, because he loves omelets with peppers and stuff in there. So I went and bought him an omelet really fast and ran it over to him. And while I was dropping it off and wishing him happy birthday, I noticed that there are 2 little magnolia trees growing. Beautiful. I'm so excited because I got 2 little baby trees for free. Because I know all they'll do in that area is either, they won't pull them by hand, but they would weed whack them or put mulch on top of them. So I very gently got them out to take home. I found a seed pod, which probably doesn't have any seeds, but I'm going to check it. I've collected seed pods before, like really large ones full of seeds, and I actually have some magnolia trees sprouting in a pot over here. I'm going to show that to you in a second. And I wasn't sure. I was like, I think they're magnolias. I'm pretty sure, because it's been It's been maybe 5 years since I've sprouted them. I basically had them like partially sprouted and sent them home with a bunch of students. So I'm like, it's been a while since I've seen them, but I'm pretty sure that those magnolias, and now that I've got the two from under the tree, I'm 100% sure that what I have in my orange pot over there are magnolia trees. They're southern magnolia, and they come from a beautiful mother plant that's just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm surprised that I found any of the baby trees there, because the squirrels just love to devour all of those seeds. So I got those. So I got the two little baby plants. I'll cut to that in a second. And then I had a plant meet to meet up at a local public area to sell a few of my plants. So I have Mother of Thousands. And I was talking to my friend the other day, one of my friends, and said, you know, I bought a Mother of Thousands plant from a craft sale probably 10 years ago for $5. And she was really surprised that I bought it, because the lady was selling just craft stuff, and she had one plant. I never saw her at any of the craft sales ever again. I bought that one plant, and she was really excited. And that one plant has since died, but before it died, it grew tons of little plantlets, these tiny baby plants on all of the little leaf margins. So Mother of Thousands is a plant that grows in Madagascar, which is also kind of fun to talk about. So it's native to Madagascar. It's invasive there because it likes that humid, tropical, warm environment, and it grows so plentifully. It literally is Mother of Thousands. Probably not literally. I mean, every leaf margin has one, so it's probably more like Mother of Hundreds. But those babies will have babies, and those babies will have babies, and those babies will have babies. So they really do grow exponentially. And so I went ahead and planted like as many as I could. I remember getting a tray, putting soil and moss down, not moss, like mulch and cocoa coir down, damp, and I took the babies off and I very carefully put all of them down. And every single one of them, oh my gosh, I left them outside for like the entire summer in a shady area where I every day I misted it. Those plants grew at a ridiculously fast speed. If you're growing it as a house plant, you probably never see it grow like that. Over the years, I've sold probably more than I'm allowed to, but I've sold a lot of them. I've given them away as gifts. I've sold them for school points in my classroom when I taught gardening for summer school and as a class. Couple years I gave them to my gardening students, and so it was really cool. It's if you live in a warm tropical area, they would be invasive, but in Washington State it's cold. They can't survive out in the cold, so they are toxic, and like cats and dogs, if they chew on them, they won't live. And that's why they don't like them in Madagascar. They're native to Madagascar, but they consider them a problem because if they're taking their goats out and their other livestock and they're going through an area and the goats eat everything, then that would probably kill them if they got a lot of them. But I don't plan on eating my houseplants, and so probably you shouldn't either unless you really know your stuff. Because even if you have an edible houseplant, if you're eating like the roots, like for instance, spider plants have tubers that are technically edible. I've never eaten them. The reason I haven't eaten them is because they've been sitting in a stagnant pot. And that stagnant pot, even if the plant looks really healthy, could have bacteria. And so even if the plant material itself is edible, how it's been treated, like if you got from a store, it could have have pesticides or herbicides or fungicides, so you don't know. And if you did grow it yourself, you also don't know if there's bacteria. So because like if you're growing outside, you have really good drainage, but in a house, in a pot in a house probably doesn't always have perfect drainage, so you could have a buildup of bacteria. So I'm not eating my houseplants. If it's end of the world kind of situation, yeah, I'm gonna eat my hens and chicks because technically they're edible. Be careful because common names, you might get one that's not, but I can't remember if it's Echeveria or Sempervivum. Well, one of them is edible, one of them is not, so be careful. But like there are some succulents are edible, some succulents are toxic, some plants have an edible root, some of them have toxic, all parts are toxic, some have edible leaves or flowers or just the stamen. So be careful with things that you're eating. But Yeah, so I got like $10. I gave the guy, I was being generous because the little tiny plantlets is what are worth 3 for $10, but I gave him 3 really established plants. They're juveniles. They don't have babies yet, but they will grow really fast from this point. So I potted up 6. I brought 1 inside, and I brought 5 to show him, and I said, choose the 3 you want. So, you know, he was 10 minutes late, but that's okay, whatever. I made $10. I got 2 magnolia trees for free. Didn't pay a penny for them. Those are free. I got a magnolia leaf and a seed pod, and if there's no seeds in there, I'll just compost it, and I've got some more soil. So I'm really happy about that. I'm going to show you the let me do the clip right now. Let's go ahead and go to the clip of where I went and got the baby trees. What do we have here? A baby magnolia. And I think I saw another one over there. I'm gonna scoop them up. Scoop them up. Ah! Not quite. Get underneath. This is why my nails are always dirty. There we go. Very gentle. And then, oh look, there's even a cone here. I'll take that too. Yes, I will. I'm gonna get sprinkled on. Ah! Did you get out of the way? Nope. Ah! Feels good.
What are you digging it out for?
Why not?
Wait, you're gonna let it die.
No, I'm not. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay. Are there any more? Here are 2 of the Mother of Thousands that did not sell. And what's nice, he was really nice because I actually had 3 this size and I had 2 that were smaller. He chose one of them this size and the 2 that were smaller, which I was surprised. I thought for sure he'd choose the 3 big ones. So that was really kind of him. He didn't have to. I gave him the absolute choice and I wouldn't have judged either way. So definitely going to give him a positive review because he wasn't greedy. This right here is not a mature looking seed pod, but I do see some seeds in there. They don't look ripe. Ripe ones are red, but I'm going to just leave it the way it is. I'm going to have to hide it though because squirrels will definitely get in here and they'll eat them. Okay, so I'm going to hide that and I'll hide it in a pot for sure because every time I've had seed pods the squirrels go crazy. Here are the magnolias, and then let's go ahead and up pot those, and then I'll show you the ones I already have growing in the orange planter. So these are done. I'm going to bring them back inside before they get sunburned. We're going to go ahead and pot them up now. I got these pots for free from a nursery. So we're on a frugal spell right now, trying to save money because property taxes went up. So did the insurance and stuff. So there's that tree here. And I always do this with 2 hands, but I'm doing it with 1 hand. Just kind of firm up that soil a little bit. And yes, the bees are swarming me right now. I'm going to stay still a little bit. They are thirsty. I better put some water out. They are trying to drink the water off the soil. So they are really desperate. So I'm gonna show you. Maybe I'll go ahead and do that in another video. No, I'll do it in this video. I'm gonna give them some hydroponic clay stones with water so they don't drown. Okay, because they will really love that. They've been really liking the pots that just have, oh, there's another seed. Okay, that actually is a magnolia seed. I'm gonna stick that in there. We'll see what we get out of that. And I'll put some of that mulch that was there. Okay. Some of that mother plant stuff breaking down the pod that they were in. Okay. So the bees and all the different pollinators have really been enjoying the potted plants I have that where I put wet cocoa coir around them. They've been drinking off the cocoa coir, and I'm thinking I'm going to do some pots that have just the, look at that. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. These are our friends. Do you see them? Look at them. They are so thirsty. And this is pretty much sterile because I just put this in the pot. I rinsed it out. I just put like a block of cocoa coir in there and filled it with water, and the bees are so thirsty. Okay, so I'm not going to put my hand in there right now. So instead of using that, I'm going to use the clay pebbles. And this is really for hydroponics, but I always like to top my plants up with rocks whenever I have them handy. And one thing that broke my heart once is I put out a tray of water trying to be nice, and when I came back in the evening, it was full of dead insects. Mostly earwigs, but it made me sad. And so I think filling a container with something like this, or lava rocks, or any like porous rock is nice because the rocks kind of hold on. This kind of, the clay, these are clay, but the porous rocks and clay pebbles hold on to more moisture. And that gives our insects, including pollinator friends, a drink later. So I'm not really doing this for the plants as much as I am doing it for the microbial life and the pollinators. So now let's go back. I'll put this back over here. Okay. And I'm just going to put it next to here, kind of in the shade, because I don't want to stress them out. Okay. But I'm putting them close to what I have here, because I'm fairly certain that these are magnolia trees. And the reason why I say so is because the stems here and the stem on that one there are both really succulent. And I'm like, oh geez, it's been so, like, I plant so many things, you know, like this is part of the, yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna have to transplant these too. I have this on top because the squirrels will eat them, will eat the seeds. So I'm gonna water, and I'm gonna put out some more trays with the clay pebbles. They're actually from my green stalks, but I'm not using them right now like that, the way that they're meant to be used. So let's go ahead and fill those up. My bag had a hole, so I spilled a bunch. I'll just put those in a pot, but I want to keep this as sterile as possible so that I'm not trying to hurt the insects with bacteria. But let's go ahead and put some water in these. So on my watering days, I always fill up my watering cans, so that, for two reasons: so I don't get in trouble for watering when I'm not supposed to, and second, because it lets the chemicals to kind of dissipate, which is good for your plants, but it's going to also be really good for the pollinators. So that's cool about this is that they won't drown, right? So that's a fine spot for this. Where should I put it? On there? Actually, let me put it right here. That way it doesn't fall. And it gives them some shade while they're getting a drink. And see, it's going to retain some water, but they're not going to drown because it's not overly saturated. They can get out. On that plant stand there, in an area where I water frequently so that I won't forget to water it. I'm going to put one right here, like that. Don't mind the mess, I just transplanted that. Now the bees are still drinking off the cocoa core. There's so many. But they're going to find out where this is. And then they are going to start drinking from there too. And I might put out some dishes with just this stuff in there and make sure that it's super clean, because I don't want them to get something and then bring it back to the hive. Forget to water your baby plants. That's important. And start them off in the shade. Need some kind of displace them a little bit. That way. More in the shade. There you go. There you go. These little things from the Dollar Tree, they're so handy, and right now they don't have them. But if you see them in stock, they're like the half-size waste paper baskets. They're fabulous for starting plants. Love them. I like the other one sizes too, but I really love that size. They're nice and wide, kind of short. It's perfect. And this squash I planted, which I think is black futsu, is not liking the heat. So let's go ahead and water it while I water the clay pebbles. Fabulous. It'll perk up. So today was a frugal day. I mean, all I spent was on the omelet for my husband. I didn't pay anything for those 2 free magnolia trees, and I know that they were fine because my husband's the caretaker. But like, always ask if you're going to dig something up. But like, there are areas around here, like there's like a school district that has a plant that drops all of its seed pods on the ground, and it's this big mucky mess. I'm doing them a favor when I go out there and I shovel it all up, and then I plant the seeds. And there's a church that has a lot of same seed type, which is actually Cornelian dogwood, Kusa dogwood. And I will, pick up the little seedlings, because I know that the people who come by to do their yard maintenance, they just weed them out or they weed whack them. So I very carefully take them out. I don't take any of the soil. I just very carefully pull them out and I plant them, and then they've got a new home, because it just breaks my heart to see anything die. Like, I don't know. That's just like I'm overly compassionate. So I'm always trying to find ways, even if it's just to move it somewhere else where it will have a chance. So that's fun. I have a lot of fun planting things. If I see like those little helicopter seeds or maple seeds and stuff, I'm always collecting them. There's usually a few seeds rattling around on the bottom of my purse. Probably a few rocks too. Yes, I do have some igneous rocks in my purse right now. We went to a beach, and the beach had lots of lava rocks all over, and you can tell that they're lava rocks because they're black. Some of them are bubbly, some of them are shiny, and they have like streaks, like swirls. So I actually grabbed some of those, and some of them have like some dead barnacles on them. And I didn't grab the ones that had living things on there, but I grabbed a few because I was like, you know what, this is cool. I mean, I have a geology unit, and I'll show them these rocks. I also thought it'd be cool to like blend geology and botany and show like how do plants break down rocks. It's a type of mechanical weathering, and so I'm like, this is pretty cool. So we have lots of connections and overlap, and I'm having a lot of fun and trying to be frugal, because as you know from some of my previous videos, I do a lot of unboxing, like my Baker Creek seeds and stuff like that. I've got so many. I was talking to Reba the gardening artist, and check out her channel, and I was saying I have spent like all my spending money has been on plants and seeds and cuttings, and I'm at the point where I'm like, I really don't need any more. And if I get something, I need to get rid of something. Like I got those 2 baby plants, I sold 3. So what comes in goes out, at least as much goes out. And I'm always propagating things. I'm like, I don't need to get new plants if these plants are thriving for me. I can just keep doing the ones that love me, that Like, I'm really bad with orchids. Like, if you're here for like tips on growing an orchid, I'd say don't. Go to a botanical conservatory and enjoy somebody else's orchids. I'm just kidding. Do what you're gonna do. But I had a good time. I kept it frugal, saved a few plants, propagated a few plants, sold a few plants, and didn't spend a penny. All right, everybody. Be good, be sweet, grow garden if you want to eat, and I'll see you next time.